people view Salinas. But between San Francisco and Los Angeles, Salinas has that potential to stand out between those two cities. Music, dance, theater, arts, and education as well. Sports, academics, the list goes on and on. The potential is going to be, because of what I see right now before me, 65% of the population in the city is young people. So for me, I see a lot of hope, but before we get there, you got to go through a lot of obstacles. There's a big mountain to climb, and I think you guys know very well what it is. It's what's happened with us not being able to walk from place to place, and us not being able to have control. And the solution and the answer there is not in more police. They already have 60 or plus % of the budget. You want to give them 100% of the budget, we can do that. It's still not going to stop. It's going back to the beginning, the root of it. And that can be done. But there is no strong will or leadership. People are very afraid to speak out here. That goes back to John Steinbeck when he would write these books that are very telling. Matter of fact, got him kicked out and banned out of here because of what he exposed. You remember the industry that did that to him? $9 billion industry? Well, that's the same one that did that to him as well. You start telling the truth, speaking boldly, and start pushing policies to help in everything that you asked about, housing, education, business, you become a target. And there's a strong hold here. That has been happening for decades. But now I think that can change with you becoming more involved in voters, registrations, and get the vote out as well. So for me, Salinas is, I think, the future. I love it. It's a city I'm born and raised in. And everywhere I go, I share what Salinas is about. Not what newspapers and the media is talking about. Good thing we have social media, because we can change the narrative on that. We can tell what the actual truth is. So to me, Salinas is the one and only. Clean and fresh air, rich soil, and I call it John Steinbeck country as well. But even before that, I think we need to recognize our ancestors.
Well, this is my home. I was born and raised in Salinas. I was fortunate to come to Alisal High as well. I'm a Trojan, class of '93. I've only lived in 3 neighborhoods my whole life. I was born and raised in North Madera area, where we lived there for a few years, and we had to move to Acosta Plaza due to our home being knocked down so they could put the Chispa housing there. So we moved to Acosta Plaza, lived there for 10 years. Ever since then, I live now in Elkington, where I was lucky enough to purchase my home before I turned 21. And that was a long time ago. So I've been in 3 neighborhoods my whole life, and I'm still in Elkington currently. So this is my home, and this is my chunk of heaven on earth. That's what I call it. So this is what it is to me, Salinas.
It means everything to me. Born and raised here, a lot of friends and family here. All my immediate family lives here. Working in the county for the last 15 years, seeing student after student getting killed, it kind of chokes me up. You have to excuse me. Being 34 years old and going to these homicide scenes, it just, enough's enough. And for people to say it doesn't affect a cop as much as it affects the community is dead wrong.
My life. I came to the city of Salinas many, many years ago. And I grew up here, basically, because I've been living in Salinas more than I live in my own town. And I got married. I have my children here. And since I got here, I started getting involved as a community volunteer. I really love Salinas, even though we always hear bad things about Salinas. When I talk to friends that don't live close here, and they say, well, Salinas is a really bad city. Why are you living there? And I say, no, it's not a bad city. Because most of the times, unfortunately, what you hear on the news is bad things, but there is a lot of good things. Like what you guys doing right now, this is a positive thing. And unfortunately, the media most of the time focus on the bad things because that's what sells. But Salinas has a lot to offer, a lot of good resources. The most important that Salinas has is good people, like you guys, that are living here, that were born here, and the families that work. We have really good people working hard. And we had to, the only thing that I think we need to do is to work a little more closely as a teamwork.
It's my quota. It's my heart. I've lived here, gosh, for over 30 years. I've been invested in this community, whether it's construction, whether I was working with high-risk gang members to teach them basic carpentry skills and painting for all senior citizen homes in Salinas. I've got grandchildren. Okay, I know I look young, but I've got 16 grandkids. And I've got 6 children, and I've got in-laws, my daughter-in-laws and my son-in-laws. And you know what? We're all here. We all live here. Most of us live in District 1 of the East Side. We all went to school in these areas. I'm invested in this community. Not just invested because I work here and I have a job here, but I've invested here because all of my children have been raised here and they still live here. And my grandchildren live here, and nobody's moving.
Good question. Great question. The city of Salinas is a city that is a working person city. And, you know, it's interesting to me. I love this question. I need to kind of put it together in my mind. And I love the question because we are, I think, a very unique city. We are composed of ag workers, field workers, doctors, teachers, lawyers, police officers, firefighters. We are a real diverse city in terms of our employment. In my neighborhood, there are people that really are. I mean, at one point, I lived next door to a doctor on one side, a field worker on the other side. I was a teacher. I am a teacher. My husband works for the county. We're not a Carmel. We're not a Monterey. We're a real down-to-earth, real people city, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of being a part of the city. It's you know, I just got an email, or I forget how she contacted me, but a student of mine, she's grown, she's married now, but a former student. But she wrote back to me and she said, I live in San Jose, and I remember you as my 5th grade teacher, and we talked about, you know, she talked about some of the things in my class, and she said, I miss Salinas. It will always be home. And I thought about that and I raised my children here too, and now my granddaughter is growing up here. She's a kindergartner. Salinas is home. That's what Salinas is. When you ask, what is Salinas to me? It's home. It's home. And it fits so many different people and so many different lifestyles and so many different dreams and aspirations. And it's just a wonderful city. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. I know some people are.
You know, what does the city of Salinas mean to me? I'm a small business guy. If you look at my 30 years, I have bought, fixed, and sold businesses in various parts of the state. Things are getting pretty rough here. I have little kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter and 12-year-old son. Wait, he's 13 now. He wants me to say that probably, because that's important. What about their future? When I was at El Grito with the booth on Sunday, do you know how many mothers and parents came up and said they're scared for their kids to walk home from school, that they have to go pick them up? Is this how we want to live? There are parents whose kids come home straight from school, do the homework, do not go out in the public, do not have any time to play outside because they have to stay indoors. Until when? Next morning when it's time to go to school. Home then becomes a prison. I think that is wrong. I could sell my business. I could go to any other town, any other place. Florida came up in conversation a while ago. And start a new business. I know how to do it. Done it plenty of times. And just leave all the problems behind and walk away. You asked me what I think of this city. I love this place. It's not only the agriculture and the fresh air, and the people here are just amazing. I refuse to leave this city and walk away from it. I choose to stay and fight. I choose to stay and fix the city that I know how. And I have a written plan that will fix the city. That's what I think of the city. I'll stay. You should too. You look on Facebook, everybody wants to leave this city. Oh, the crime is too much. Why don't we all get together? Is there any force in the city of Salinas that can stop a tsunami of people's opinion if they just get together and refuse to believe that 3,000 gangsters are controlling the city? Our city has become lawless. Our streets are not our streets. They're owned by the gangsters. It's scary out there. I will do what it is necessary, whatever it takes to bring this city back to health. Make it a safe city. So I can walk down the street, and so can you, and so can my kids and your kids. This city has a bright future. We just need to realize it. And we need someone at the helm, setting the right direction, who is not afraid of politics and money, who says, this is where city needs to be, this is where we at, these are the 10 things we need to do to get there. And the guy has guts to get there and do the 10 things. And that is what I think of the city. There are people willing to stay. I'm not the only one. There are a tremendously large number of people out there who really have ideas and want to make city a better place. And I think we should let them open the floodgates. It's our city. We take it back. Not for me, but for you guys too. I got what, 10, 15, 20 years? I'm done. The city will belong to you. What kind of city do you want? Where are you going to go? You going to go to college? What about your kids? Are you going to stay here? This, in high schools all across the city, is where it starts. It's a great city. Let's polish it up and let's get there.
Well, it's home. It's a place that I've been fortunate enough to grow up in. You know, I came back from Vietnam a little disappointed in the world. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, we go to a country, I was 18 years old, and I got people that wanted to kill me because, and they didn't know me. I couldn't quite understand that theory. And then I came back, and there were some things said about us folks that had went to Vietnam. And then I got lucky enough to come and work in Salinas as a police officer. I lived down on John Circle. And somebody said, no, you couldn't live on John Circle. Why not? It was a great place to live. I had great neighbors. And they were a wide variety of neighbors of all cultures. And having worked in East Salinas for 25 years as a homicide detective, I got to know the people, and not just the people that were involved in crime. There are a lot of people in this community that we never hear from. And I think what we have here is, you can go to Monterey and they have all the updities, and Carmel Valley or Carmel where, you know, you got to drive a Gucci car is what I always say. You get a guy like me goes over there with a pickup truck, they go, oh, he must be a delivery guy, or he's the gardener. No. Over here, we're more of the real people. It's a blue collar, it's a community that works. It's a community that feeds the world. And you know, whenever you go anywhere, and I've been to New York and I've been to Washington, D.C., and I had an opportunity to go to New York to go into a Whole Foods. And it's in the basement of a Time Warner building. And it's got 50 checkout stands. I had never been in a store that had that many checkout stands. That to me was like an amazing thing. And I walked through the produce section, and there it was. Strawberries from Salinas. Salinas wine. Nunez salad mix. Taylor Farms salad mix. And I'm watching the people, and I watched the lady pick up some of our strawberries. And she goes, I says, where are you buying those? She goes, oh, that's from Salinas. You know, they have really good product and good people. That's what Salinas means to me. It's the people. It's not about who's the richest or who's the poorest. What we have is a little bit of everything.